We're back here on Yaffee Live. This is the Talk Monster. Always glad you're joining the show. You know who I am. You know how this show
You're
works.
Yaffee.
Yep. By the way, great text just came in on the text monster here. It says, I worked at VW from 2011 to 2018, 7.5 years. I can attest that they paid good wages, great retirement benefits, as well as great health insurance. I had worked in other companies for over 40 years, and VW had the best benefits of all. I retired from there at 65 and had added a good amount of funds from VW plans to my retirement savings. It looks to me that the offer from VW is more than generous. Employees there now are being used as pawns by the union, in my opinion. So that was somebody weighing in on the text line. So we'll talk more about this right now and some other Tennessee news and politics with Brandon Lewis, who is the founder of the Tennessee Conservative. You can read his stuff and all the latest news at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Brandon, how are you today, sir?
Man, I'm wonderful. I'm enjoying watching the leaves change.
That's good. I just wish it would stop raining. Did it finally stop raining? Is it actually clear out there?
Oh, up on Signal Mountain, we've got two kinds of rain in the winter. We've got or weather. We've got rain and fog, and we get fog and rain up here. And so then occasionally a day with some sun. So I'm ready for the foggy rainy season to commence. And you just get about halfway down the W road, and y'all are clear, and we're up here in a cloud bank.
Okay, you've just bought into it. You're just saying, well, might as well not fight it, accept it for what it is. I do like that. So before we get to some other news items you have on your website, I was curious about your take on the fact that UAW workers are striking here, or well, they're not striking yet, but they have voted to authorize a potential strike at the VW plant here. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that it's predictable. I mean, it's one of the things that people worried about when you get so much capital investment, the community puts in, the taxpayers put in, and then unions come in, which often turn into these parasitic organizations that, are in large part responsible for the Rust Belt in the Northeast. It's why so many companies move to the South to get away from union influence. And I believe there was a time for unions during the Industrial Revolution and things of that nature. I think they have outlived their usefulness. As I've coached hundreds of painting contractors in 7 different countries, I've helped dozens of owners get out of being in the union because it crushed and crippled their business. And so the unions tend to exist for the sake of the union. It's kind of like when you see poison ivy growing up a tree or kudzu. It looks pretty, right? But slowly but surely it kills everything else around it. And so I think that is what we will see with VW. But as I mentioned to you, sometimes when you see a large liberal corporation fighting a large liberal union, it's hard to know who to root for. And and then at the same time, the people that get left holding the bag are your average worker, the consumer, the taxpayer, and the community. And then the union just goes and finds another host organization to set upon. And, all they've got in the hunt and in the game is a little bit of labor and a bunch of paper. Whereas, the employer has got all this capital and all this expense, as does the community. And then you've got the livelihood of the workers, but the union just moves on. They just go find it. They're almost like a pirate. They don't need to build a bunch of ships. They just need to commandeer a bunch of ships. And so it's a good place to be in for a union. I don't know if it's very helpful for the employees, the community, or the employer long term.
Yeah, and that's the key, long term. In the short term, for some employees, it seems great because you get the company to cave and you get all these extra benefits and they're like, yay! But then you look long term and you got the Rust Belt. Exactly. People are telling me, they support the union here because they want the same benefits that the other automakers are giving. And I'm like, oh, you mean the automakers we had to bail out a few years ago? I mean, this is what you want us to do? More of that?
Yeah, there's so much competition for employment, and employees are harder to find than ever. If you want to move up, sometimes you just got to move out. And that's how it is in almost every industry. And so I would love to see more of that. I'm sure there are things that they are pushing for that would be good. I just know historically speaking, when you watch unions are to business like what the woolly adelgid is to a hemlock tree. If you don't get the thing treated, like it will slowly but surely kill it over time. So I assume that's what we will see here in Chattanooga if we could fast forward the clock.
You have trees on the mind today. I know you talked about the changing.
They're right outside my window. These are things I think about. I'm one with the trees.
It sounds like it today, I have to say. All right, Brandon Lewis is with the Tennessee Conservative, joins me every Thursday on the show. Also want to talk about this as well. Tennessee Secretary of State refers 42 potential illegal aliens who voted in the elections. They were illegal aliens who got the vote. Now they're going to be investigated by the FBI. I mean, it shows that this happened, although it's not a very big number. That's usually what the response would be. But what do you think?
It's not very big, which, leads me to believe like how good the system is. But they apparently ran 4 million voter records through what's called Systematic Alien Verification Entitlements, called SAVE. And it's something that the Trump's executive order made it available and free to the states to use to make sure that only U.S. citizens vote. And so, so far, it looks like we found 42. It just makes me wonder, like, is that the true number or the right number? How is it good data, bad data? I'm not really sure. You'd have to dig into the process. But at least it's good to see them doing something in this direction. But, I don't think, maybe in some states where they are proactively registering illegal aliens to vote, but I don't think people don't come to the United States to vote in our elections. They come here for the economic opportunity and the free education at taxpayer expense and benefits and safety and everything else. And so I don't think most of them take the time to vote or even think about voting. And so I think these numbers sort of bear that out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would also probably argue that Tennessee's not one of these states that has this problem. Kind of like what you said. If you did something like this really in California, you would probably have a much bigger number, I would assume.
Yes. And they would be curious to know, and maybe I can get in touch with Trey Hargett just to talk about this and see how that process went, if I can find the time.
Yeah, you're a busy guy. You don't have those big union benefits.
Well, I wish some union would come in here and unionize my company so they could pay me more as the owner. So I'm just still waiting. But I don't know how that would go, negotiating with myself.
I want to talk about this story as well. This, to me, is good news. Democrat Tennessee State Representative's lawsuit against GOP lawmakers. He said it was unconstitutional treatment he was getting. We're talking about Democrat State Representative Justin Jones, and this was when he was basically disrupting regular order in the state legislature, and he said that was unconstitutional, but the court threw it out. What do you think about it?
Well, every governing body has to have some level of decorum and house rules. If you don't, then people can just hold the electoral process hostage or intimidate people and things of that nature. And so, he was expelled in 2023, and of course his local officials just reappointed him. So in a way, it really didn't do much to hurt Mr. Jones. I would say that instead of actually being hurt by it, he was helped because he had a banner fundraising opportunity, which he capitalized on. So, I think he's in a better position than if he'd never been kicked out. But the court ruled that he lacked legal standing. It was interesting. Jones claimed unequal punishment compared with colleague Gloria Johnson, but the thing about that is, your fellow members are the ones that vote on your punishment, right? That's a mechanism inside the House. And so if you get one less vote other than somebody else, well, how do you explain it? Although it is odd, though, because Gloria had one person break for her. And I think she was just likable enough to get the one vote she needed compared to the other two.
Did she apologize or something? Was it something like that?
Yeah, but she tried to stay in, and they are basically like, you could kiss my you-know-what. And so I think she was able to get to one person that switched their vote, and so she stayed in, although I would say to his point, he's correct. There was not a hair's worth of difference between what she did and what they did. They were the ones that got the boot.
Yeah, that's an interesting angle to this. I would assume the court threw it out, though, just because, I mean, this is like a state's right issue. I mean, the state legislature gets to control their own body, and it was done based on a vote, like you said.
Yeah, it was. He probably you can make hay out of that kind of stuff, and he had the coffers to do it with his campaign. So legally, did he know it probably wasn't going to make it anywhere? Likely, but politically, did it have value for a time? Certainly. So, and the good news is when you file stuff like this, when it's in the public eye, you get the attention, and then by the time it gets ruled upon, everybody's moving on to something else, and so it really doesn't.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter at that point.
Okay, so he's crafty. Put it that way.
Yes, he's
clever.
Well, you know what they say: the devil ain't lazy.
Speaking with Brandon Lewis, so we have this story as well. Memphis School Board apparently is adding special buses for immigrant students in response to the Memphis Safe Task Force. What is going on here?
So I think this is just a bunch of knee-jerk liberal reactionism. So the first thing is, they say that the kids aren't coming to school and that their parents aren't coming to school, but they can cite no attendance data to support it. There have been no incidences with the task force in or around the school. And I think one thing that is interesting, we have rules which I don't think serve even the immigrant population and certainly the indigenous native population of Tennessee very well, where you can't break people up into separate classes because 60% of the room can't speak English. Like you've got to put the English speakers in with the Spanish speakers, but for some reason in Memphis they can segregate it on a bus. So I don't even know, like if they had tried this any other way, I don't know that somebody wouldn't bring a lawsuit and say, well, you can no more segregate people on a bus for transportation based upon
that's a good
their
point
ethnic group. Then you can segment them in a class, but nonetheless, they decided to do it. And, Hispanic enrollment has surged, nearly 20% of district students from 11. So it's almost doubled within just a decade.
And, of course, they get money based on heads, right, per student?
Yes, just heads. Kids and cattle. You get paid the same way.
Yeah.
And it's so they don't really – they don't really care what the kids look like, if they're healthy or whatever. It's like we just need them here breathing and taking up the air, and we get our money. And how we turn them out doesn't seem to make much of a difference either.
Yeah, that's very.
So they unanimously approved the expansion to address fear and anxiety among immigrant families. And it also doesn't even make any sense from a practical standpoint. If you've got these buses going out that are specifically and only going to pick up immigrant kids, it seems like that would make the task force job easier if they were going to do something, not harder.
That is a great point.
So this whole thing does not seem to make any sense to me. There's no data that says that it's actually happening. There have been no incidences at the school. We can't, I think rightly.
Sounds like virtue signaling to me.
Yeah, I don't think taxpayers should have to pay for illegal alien education, and GOP primary voters don't like it. About 80% of them agree with my position. But at the same time, while it is still going on, it would be a lot better to have English-speaking students in a classroom and have those that are struggling as English with a second language in another. And it doesn't matter. I coach people that speak English as a second language all the time, and it is a different animal. You have to go slower. You have to. There's a communication issues.
Of course.
They're going to implement slower because they're dealing in a language they're not used to. They may skills in addition, and so you can't handle those two groups the same way and expect a good outcome for both. In fact, what you'll get a really bad outcome for the folks that could excel but can't because of the environment they're in. And then you're going to get a watered down outcome from those that speak English as a second language. And so I wish they would get rid of that so that they, while this is still going on, although I would like to see it stop, we could at least, help both groups a little bit better. But, I think they're tied by federal red tape on a lot of that stuff.
Brandon Lewis is the founder of the Tennessee Conservative. Read these stories and much more at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. This interview will be up on the website as well tomorrow. So subscribe for free, TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Brandon, always appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next time.
Take care, buddy.